Let's now start our interesting analysis. I know that because I'm going to teach you, what I'm going to teach you today is very simple, okay? In the number of minutes that we have left, I'm going to show you how to calculate this. Take notes. What I want to do now is basically some tiny analysis. Maybe not tiny, okay? But what I want to do is, I know that this data contains the records of each individual in the family and the purchases they've made or their expenses within a period of time. Now, in analyzing the data, I want to know which one of them has the highest spendings, okay, has the highest total amount spent. And I also want to know which one of them, okay, spends, has the highest amount of time or has spent money the highest amount of time. Okay, so occurrences. How many times have father spent money? Or how many times have mother spent money? Okay, that's what I mean. Now, I can simply start by saying, for me to know that father spent money, it means his name appeared in this column. Now, what is the name that we gave to this range? The name at the top, which is row. Okay, so if I count how many times father appears in row, that should give me how many times father have spent money, isn't it? Please confirm, isn't it? Very good, very good. So what do? I will simply say equal to count, open brackets. Sorry, I'll say count if. Okay, count if. Because I want to count a particular value in a range. So I'll say count if, open brackets, and it's very simple. Whenever you're working with formulas, learn to read the arguments required. So the first thing it's asking for is range, meaning where is the range you want to perform the count. This is the range, the roll range. So I'll just say, oh, in roll, when I type roll, remember, because we have already defined it, we've already named it before. So when I type roll, it selects that range. I press comma. So in this range, roll, count father, I click on this cell. Okay, I'll close my bracket and press enter. I have 23 occurrences. So now if I double click this, pam, you can see I have 33, 12, 22. It's not hard. It's very easy. Okay, in the role, count father. What if I simply typed father? It will work as well. But you need to make sure that the father you type is in double quotes to signify text. Okay. Why don't you use double quotes since it is text? I am not using double quotes because I did not type father inside the cell, inside the formula myself. Father is already in a cell. So I am simply referencing the cell that, oh, it is the value in cell I2 I want you to count. Okay. Now, why did we use count if and not count? We use count when we want to count the number of cells that contains numbers. We use count if when we want to count the number of cells for a given criteria. We want to give a value that it should count. And I said, oh, count the value in cell I2. That is for the count. So that one gives us how many times each one of them appear in that column. So father has spent money 23 times, mother 33 times, daughter 12 times, son 22 times. Okay, but what if I want to get the total amount spent for each one of them? It means that I will tell my function why type I2 when you have already typed roll. Now, roll is the range being counted. What I'm saying is that this countif function should go to this range, I2. Now, in this range is called roll. That is the range. Okay, go to this range, roll. Now, in this range, count the criteria I2. Now, what is in I2? Father. So I'm telling you to count father in this range. Okay, so that's why I say equal to count if the range is roll. In this range, roll, comma, the criteria to count is father, and father is already in I2. If I want to type father myself, instead of putting I2, I will put double quotes and I will type father and close my double quotes. But because I already have it in a cell, I can simply reference that cell. All right. So I hope that's understood. Okay, very good. All right. And I've also repeated the formula as well. Okay. Now, what if I wanted to get the total amount spent? Okay. I wanted to get the total amount spent. Now, I know where each one of the occurrences are. The formula needs to know where it can find father so that it can sum the amount. It needs to know where it can find mother so that it can sum the amounts. Okay, so I'm using my sum if. And I'll start with equal to sum if, open brackets. Now, I have 3 arguments that I'm going to give. The range, the criteria, and the sum range. Now, the range is simply, where do you want me to check for the criteria? I want the sum if to only sum the value for father. Okay, I want it to only sum the amount for father. Now, in which range can I find father? In the roll range. So I'll say, okay, in roll, comma, look for what? Criteria, father, comma, then sum is what? Amounts. And I'll close my brackets. That is how it works, simply. In the roll range, look for father, and sum is amount. And I press enter. Okay, so it will automatically look for every occurrence of father and it will just sum the amount that father have spent. Okay, let's do for mother as well. Don't let me double click. Let me do for mother so that we get it. Let's do the formula again. Equal to sum if, open brackets. If you know how to read your formula, once they've taught you a formula, next time you want to use it, make sure you read the formula. This formula is asking for range, criteria, and sum range. The first range is the criteria range, meaning where do you want me to go and check for your criteria? Okay, that is the roll, meaning go to the row column, roll, comma, and then look for which criteria, anywhere you see mother. comma, and then sum what? What will I sum? I won't sum the date now. I won't sum the particulars. What I will sum is amount. And I'll close my bracket and press enter. So this gives me the sum value that mother has spent. So now let's double click this, come down, and I have the sum that each one of them have spent. Now, the beauty about this is that if it is only father, mother, daughter, and son I have in this data set, if I sum this total, it should give me the sum that I have in this cell, in this sum cell here. Isn't it? If I sum these four amounts, it should give me the total sum that I already computed here. Let's see. In this cell, equal to sum, open bracket, and sum this entire amount, close bracket, and press enter. So you can see that the value I have here is the exact same value I have here. And that's it. Okay. So you see that your sum if, your count if are not difficult. Okay. They are not what? Difficult. It just requires you to practice and read and understand your formula. Okay. So I don't need this value here. Let's proceed. So the same way we counted father, mother, daughter, son, and we also got the total amount spent. See that when I wanted to perform my count if, I needed a range where I can find all the rows. When I wanted to perform my sum ifs as well, to get the total amount for each row, I needed to use the row range where I can find all the rows. Okay, so that should tell you what you need to do when you need to calculate the total amount spent for each month. Okay, it's a tricky question, but it's just to test your Excel intelligence so far based on all the functions that we've taught in class. Now, finally, the count function, the count ifs and sum ifs. Now, the previous function we looked at, count if and sum if, looked at just one criteria that, oh, I am just looking at father alone, or I'm just looking at mother alone. But this time around, I want to look at how many times father have spent money on water. I want to look at how many times father have spent money on car maintenance. So I won't just be counting where I see father alone. No, I will need to match them up that, okay, when you see father, also make sure that it is water you have in the particulars before you count it. Or when you see father, also make sure that it is car maintenance you have in the particulars before counting it. We're going to use the count ifs to perform that criteria or to perform that counting. I want to know how many times father have spent money on water. So what I will do is very simple. Okay, I want to see equal to count ifs. And what I will state is criteria range 1. My first criteria range is where I can find the role, and that is the role range, comma. My criteria 1 is role. Okay, comma. Criteria range 2 is where I can find the particulars, and that is what? Particulars, comma. Criteria range 2 is water. And I will close my brackets and press enter. Now, what I'm simply saying is that, oh, in this data, okay, in role, look for father. But don't only look for father. Make sure you also go to the particulars and look for water. So it will get all the father spendings. Out of that, it will now get, oh, the spendings he has spent on water. Okay, and I press enter. Do you see that? So it tells me father have spent money on water just 2 times. Okay. Once I come here, double click this corner, I'm done. Now for the total, equal to sum ifs. I want to see how many times father have spent money on water. I'll say equal to sum ifs. Okay. The first one is the sum range I have to give. Now, use the count when you only want to count cells that contain number. Whenever you are counting based on a criteria, meaning you want to give the value that you should count in a range of cell, you will either use the count if or count ifs. Now, you will use the count if it is only one criteria you want to give, meaning I'm only giving one value. Count this value in this range. But if I say I am giving 2 values, count the occurrences whenever you have these 2 values paired together. You use the count ifs, or you have 2 or more. You use the count ifs. All right. I hope that's taken now. So for my sum ifs, I use the sum range first. Okay. You will see that there are slight differences in the functions. Your sum if first collected criteria range, or first collected range, then criteria, then sum range. But sum ifs with an S is taking the sum range first, meaning which column do you want to sum? That is the amounts column. I put the amounts, comma. Now, criteria range 1 is my role, meaning go to the role, comma, and look for what? Criteria 1, which is this value, father, comma. Criteria range 2, go to the particulars, comma, and look for what? This particular here, water. And that's all. Close my bracket and press enter. So this tells me that, oh, father has spent money on water to the sum of 139,640 naira. So if I double click now, gives me for the rest. So you can see that where you have 0, that father have not spent money on that item at all. It corresponds properly. You have dash as the total amount spent.
Endeavor to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you. See you in our next class. Bye.